Good morning, everybody. Welcome to P and M in the AM. But there's no P here today, so I guess it's A&M in the AM. What's going on, everybody? I guess I'm hosting this thing this morning. So I'm your host, Mike Lauro, along with my producer extraordinaire, the guy behind the glass, the one with the voice of God, Mr. Al Safiri. Morning, Al.
Morning.
Kind of a rough day yesterday, huh?
Yeah, not the greatest day for the city of Philadelphia in a nutshell.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Let's get into it, man. Eagles, reportedly have a deal in place with the New York Jets to trade Haason Reddick. It's a third-round pick in 2026 that could get moved up to a second-round pick in 2026. How you feeling about that?
I mean, I guess I was waiting. I was waiting for something to happen with him. I think a lot of people thought with the fact that nothing was coming about that there was more of a chance that Hassan would be here next year.
Mhm.
I had no feelings at all that Hassan was going to play out his contract here as it was. There would have to be some sort of bonus extension, something for him to want to stick around. But a lot of people had this feeling or thought that that was going to happen that way, and I didn't. So I was kind of prepared for it. Did not see a 2026 draft pick.
Yeah, that's what's throwing me off. Oh, by the way, I cannot see no comments, so you might have to handle that.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I thought that was up there.
Yes. We're still it's early for us too, guys.
Yeah, and it's Saturday.
And it's Saturday. Yeah, we're not used to doing this on a Saturday. We're off. Yeah, exactly. But to me, yeah, the whole timing of it, from what I was hearing, they wouldn't have got no more than a 5th-round pick for this year.
Well, I mean, that's pretty crazy. But I mean, then again, Burns got what? He could have got a first last year, but
I think they got the Burns. They gave up a second and a 5th.
They gave him a second and 5th, but he's younger, so
and he's just coming into his own. I mean, to me, like we were just saying off air, it kind of just looks like we basically traded Bryce Hoff for Haason Reddick, and I'm okay with that. There was an impasse. There's no way that they were going to be able to. They were at an impasse with him. They weren't going to be able to sign him to, what they wanted. It's typical Eagles, man. When they don't sign, when you don't do, I guess, good business with the Eagles, they move on from you, and it doesn't matter who you are.
I think you kind of have to have that thought. Ryan's checking in here. What's going on? Hassan wasn't going to play with the motivation. He would have been a huge distraction. He would have been a problem holding out.
I don't think so. I don't think that at all, because he didn't demonstrate. If he was going to hold out, he could have held out last year.
Yeah. I don't know if he was going to hold out, but I mean, I listen, from what I've seen from Hasson Reddick, he seems to be a stand-up kind of guy. Guy kind of does what he's supposed to do no matter what. I mean, I think he would have played his heart out as normal as he would have.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't think that that was going to happen. I don't know. I just don't think he would have played at all. He would probably say, "You then trade me for whatever you can get, and move on." Like, I'll try to somewhere else.
But see, here's the thing, though. Like, he can want to be traded all he wants. I mean, he signed the 3-year deal. So, I mean, the Eagles could look at him and say, "Look, man, come here. Since you're not going to get what you think you're worth, play out the year here, and then you're a free agent, dude. Then you can go do whatever you want to do." I mean, I'm sorry. I felt like the Eagles in this, they did everything to accommodate Hasson Reddick. They told him to go out and seek a trade.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows what his worth is on that market.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why, all right, if I wanted $23 million and the club's coming back and they're offering me 20, okay, 20 is better than 17.
Yeah. Dives checking in here. Tough pill to swallow, but the Eagles need to get younger, cheaper, and faster. Suddenly, edge rusher is now top need for the Eagles in round 1 and 2. With that being said, and I kind of was thinking about this yesterday, with the first reactions, I was like, oh man, I was really kind of I wanted to see what Hassan would have looked like with Huff and the other, the whole collection of all of them at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But in the back of my head, I just knew that wasn't going to happen. That's just being greedy, I think, at that point. But I mean, somebody kind of explained to me 2026. I'm like, everybody's like, why so far out? I'm like, well, that's probably the best way they can get a second or third for him. And think about it. You're going to have a lot of contracts coming to an end. You're going to be in the meat of Jalen's contract, which is going to be super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be coming to the end of
AJ Brown's.
AJ Brown's. You're going to be in the meat of probably the new contract for Devontae Smith. And you know what Huffs is going to look like. So you got Saquon, all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're looking 2026,
Saquon could be gone by then. I don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He could be here 2 years, and then the Eagles release him.
But my point is, I think that's where Dives is going with this. They need to get younger, cheaper, and faster, and this is the way they're going to have to go about it. So it's not from a strategic standpoint. If you after it's all gone and you kind of let the dust settle and you try to figure it out, it's not a bad move. And I want to give Howie a little credit that he was able to get at least a second or third at least, possibly a second. I mean, it's 67.5% of the snaps he has to play, and then 10 or more sacks.
So it moves up
very doable.
It moves up to a 2. So I mean, if they're able to get it into where it moves up to a 2, then yeah, they're looking sweet. And plus, too, I trust Howie Roseman as far as wheeling and dealing. Morning, Mitch. I trust his wheeling and dealing on draft day. Like I said,
well, it's funny you say that because I was doing my Wednesday show with Joe Sheeran and we were talking, and there was kind of some news that slipped out that a guy that's worked with the Eagles for a long time, a childhood friend of Howie Roseman, and his name is Jason Rosenberg, I think it is, and did a lot of what we're told did a lot of the contract work, and we're like, Joe's like, was he the guy that was the man behind the curtain? He left because he wanted to be a GM, and he knew with the Eagles that wasn't going to happen. Mm-hmm. If he wanted to move up in this world of the NFL, brass, he had to move on somewhere. So Joe was like, he's like, can't say I'm not a little nervous that it may. What about he's the guy who's the real guru for that? I mean, I'm not saying that Howie doesn't know what he's doing, but it was kind of a joke. But at the same time, it's like, good point.
Well, I mean, stop and think about it too. I mean, when Joe Douglas was here and they won the Super Bowl, how many people did you think thought it was Joe Douglas? What did we hear about that? Oh man, we're losing Joe Douglas. I'd rather Howie would have left. And we kept Joe Douglas. Well, I'm sorry, Joe Douglas has been the man running the show in New York. What has he done?
Well, he did get Aaron Rodgers in.
But still, he had Aaron Rodgers all 5 plays.
I'm messing with you. Actually, good call on Devontae. The market for wide receivers is wild right now, and he's about to get a ton of money.
That could be another thing too.
That's what I'm looking at. Like, maybe if they try to, I don't know. I mean, how old will AJ be then? He might be above 30 at that point, right? 2026. So they'll probably move on from him, depending on how he's doing.
Listen, they're bringing in wide receivers now. Listen, I think the Eagles can actually go out and get somebody in the draft. Like Chop Robinson's there, and I think they can get Chop Robinson at a real good. Chop Robinson, for all you don't know, he's kid out of Penn State. Mm-hmm. They can get him within the first 2 rounds. I think Chop will be there at least till 2nd round. I don't see him going any later than that. But I would love, and I know the Eagles are very high on him. Kid's got a high motor, can get to the quarterback. He was really good the past 3 seasons the past 2 seasons up at Penn State. He really got his name out there.
I mean, listen, I agree, and this I think Dive said it a little earlier. The other thing that this just shows me that where does Howie and the Eagles usually go in that first round?
Offensive line,
first, 2nd round, offensive line and the trenches, either O line or D line and the edge.
Yeah, they got Lane now. Yeah. Lane's actually in there scouting his replacement. Yeah. I think that's going to be like a trend.
Yeah, listen, we'll see if it pans out, but I mean, I think they were going to go. If one of those edge rushers are available, they're going to take them, and I think that's why they were so not hard pressed to extend. I'm sure. I'm almost sure that the Eagles probably came and said, "Listen, we'll pay you what you're getting paid today. Maybe we'll extend you another year or 2 at this rate." Obviously, he wasn't having it. His son wasn't having it. I mean, they obviously they could not meet in some sort of middle area. There's no area for them to meet. So, Joe Sullivan, there must have been a locker room issue with Reddick.
I
don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, only if it's a locker room issue, I'm thinking maybe, it would be just him maybe about his contract. I don't think he was like disruptive though, because he does. To me, he doesn't have that type of. To me, it doesn't seem like he has that type of personality.
Yeah,
Morning, Ant.
I don't know about the locker room issue. I'm wondering So here's my thing: is they were very willing to do it, and usually a couple things mean if you're willing to do it, that you can get a high return, that you maybe there is like a locker room issue. You want to move on from this guy. He doesn't fit the organization. But the one I'm leaning towards more is maybe he didn't fit
Fangio's
scheme. And they're like, not that I don't think Hasson Reddick couldn't fit Fangio's scheme, but his guys do drop back. And we all know Hasson Reddick does not drop back.
No, he comes forward. But here in that defense, too, though, I don't know if we can really say that because when Gannon was here, Gannon ran Fangio's defense.
No, Gannon ran Fangio's.
He ran a version of it. Yeah.
Here's my thing: is people complain like, even when they said they're signing Vic Fangio, I'm like, well, I mean, I was big on getting Vic Fangio for.
I wanted him here before Desai.
Yeah. I actually thought that was going to happen when he signed with the Miami Dolphins. I was a little shocked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I just wondered. They're like, all right, well, his age, and this could be like what we talk about. Like Howie said this a while ago, like from the 2018 mistakes and stuff like that. He said, I can't put my feelings about a player ahead of the team's future. And again, I think Hasson has plenty left in the tank.
I think he's getting rid of him. You know what they say? It's better to get rid of him a year earlier than a year too late.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's doing.
And I think he could probably, over at least the next couple of years, be as good as he is now or close to it.
Listen, and he'll help that Jets. If he's going to the Jets, dude, like, listen, like I said, nothing's been official yet. It's just what we were hearing from insiders.
Shefty.
Yeah. Anthony says, I think Fangio's defense is going to flatline. I don't know about that, man. Yeah. Did you see Miami's defense last year?
Yeah, I mean, he's not. Listen, I know people go, oh, look, he hasn't always had great years, and I get it. But remember, it also depends on the personnel you get. It depends on the kind of organization you're working with. We'll find out. But at least now we know we have, like, you're not getting like Nike knockoffs. Your shoes aren't going to fall out from underneath you. You know what I mean? You're getting the real deal. So if it flatlines, it flatlines. But at least there's no like, well, that was the size version of it, or that was Cannon's version of it. No, it's the real deal. And we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm still excited to see what Fangio can do.
I am too, because one, I feel like with us getting Devin White, it's actually going to help Nakobe Dean too. And that's another thing too. Like, I think, people are saying, oh, they're putting a lot of pressure on Nolan Smith. Good.
Yeah, well, I mean.
Morning, Dave.
I mean, during the, I think it was the Combine, you heard how we go. And it's something that stuck with me, and people tell me I should kind of let it go. But he said, or Sirianni said about how, I forget exactly how it went, but pretty much said, he told Sirianni, go ahead, let the younger guys play. Well, why couldn't that happen last year? What happened that, wouldn't they? It was out of philosophy that they needed to change, that I'm going to let my vets play. And
well, that could have been the defense. It could have been just the coach's preference on that. Mm-hmm. Because, you remember when we were sitting back watching this team a year ago, we were saying, how come Jordan Davis is getting pulled off so often? How come Jalen Carter had like the first 2 months of the season, dude, he was wreaking havoc on everybody.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden,
wall hit like a
yeah. But I'll tell you what, like going forward with that, like I thought their most consistent tackle last year was Fletcher and Milton Williams. I thought Milton Williams, before he got hurt, was playing just as well as Jalen Carter was.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, I like some of the steps that the Eagles have taken, and I like the fact that they're trying to get younger. Like Howie learned from he's learned from his mistakes that he's done in the past. So he's not going to keep a guy that was great for him in the past, and he maybe still have a few good years. And like I said, he's learned from his mistakes. So going forward, like I want to see what happens with the draft. Like to me now, like if they go out and get a guy like Chop Robinson or some of these other upper tier defensive ends, edge rushing ends, then okay, the Eagles are trying to get young. And two, I think it's easier for the Birds if they get a young defense because Fangio's not going nowhere. Mm-mm. Like you said, when he got back here.
I think that was one of the sexy parts about Fangio for the Sixers or for the Eagles. Sorry guys, Saturday morning. And is that you get these young guys that, I mean, Gannon was being talked about within days of being here about being a head coach somewhere soon. And you keep getting these guys, you keep having this turnover, and you got to keep kind of rebuilding. And look at Andy Reid when he was here. He had Johnson. Now he has
Spagnuolo.
Spagnuolo, and he's and that's why they're consistently good. They're not ever talked about being head coaches anywhere. I mean, even Schwartz when he was here. I mean, like him or hate him, you didn't have to really worry about him being a head coach as much as anything else. He even said he came out like, I kind of don't have the urge to be a head coach at this point anymore. I just want to do my thing. And I think there's a lot to be said with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh, and Dibes, I wore this hat just for you today, buddy. So he always says my hat game's on point. So it's a little 87 throwback there. But no, getting back to what you were saying now, like I'm looking at it like this. Fangio has a chance now to mold these guys. And to be honest with you, if Devin White has a good year, or if he's having a good year this year, I definitely see the Eagles re-signing him. Mm-hmm. I definitely will. I can see them making a contract offer to him in the middle of the season.
Possibly, depending on how he starts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if he's having a good year.
He's young enough. I mean,
right.
He's young enough.
I think he just got burned out playing in that system in Tampa.
And he's young enough, and if he plays well enough, you may be able to get him at a good team-friendly contract instead of waiting to the offseason and having a really good year, and then him wanting to test the market. Angry Ant saying, I say that because if Davis comes into the game out of shape, Carter off the field craziness, Reddick get traded, Slay is old, and Bradbury's terrible, Blankenship's recovering from injury. Okay, so number one, is that the Fangio defense flatlining if this is all kind of comes true, or is that just?
I mean,
is that Howie's fault if this all comes true? Like
I'm looking at just what he's writing there. Davis comes in out of shape. Well, that's on Davis. Carter off the field craziness. That's on Carter because you got to know how to act. Slay being old. I think.
Jamie.
Hey, the dead has arisen.
Jesus, you don't want to go home.
Yeah, I know.
And saying what hurts is Jake Rosenberg leaving because that's Howie's best friend. I mean, I really don't care about his friend. I don't care if they're friends or not. Great, and wonderful. I don't get to hang out with Mike every day, but he's my good friend. That doesn't mean anything. My point is, was he a lot of the genius contract moves? Did he come up with some of that? Now,
I don't know, but I guarantee
they've worked together for 15 years, so there's a good chance that by now he knows most of his tricks of the trade.
Exactly, and that's going to help out somebody. I think
it has to. I was it on this show or my other show a week or two ago. I forget what I said, but what show it was on. But I said this. I'm like, how has nobody duplicated the Howie contract thing where like everybody gets stuck in these contracts and they can't get out of them, and you see like these crazy contracts, and Howie comes in and just makes them work, and people go, oh, you just ghost years and this, that, and I'm like, yeah, that's part of the game, but he still gets away with it.
Yeah,
I mean, how does he get away with it? How do they?
Because he pushes it like my buddy said it the best. He said the best kicking the can down the line is Howie Roseman. He knows how to manipulate the cap, and if you really look at it, all he does is give a big signing bonus, and he kicks it down the later years that they know that they're not going to have it. And then every so often, they got to bite the bullet and have that year. Then after they have that year, okay, it may be even 2 years, he starts rebuilding it back up to where they go back and they become relevant. That's what Howie has done. And, I mean, it may not be everybody's slice, or cup of tea or slice of pie, but it's proven to work.
Deuce is in Cleveland. Pretty sure, Ant. I don't know.
Is that where he ended up going?
I think so. Did Deuce Staley come back? Now, I know in like January he signed with Cleveland. I think the whole Jim Schwartz connection and all that stuff. I always feel bad for Deuce. Like, all I hear is how good he is, but that never seems to be able to get over that hump and get the OC.
He's like, he's starting to fall in that Eric Bieniemy category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be real. If Sirianni screws up and leaves, I can see the Eagles reaching out to him and bringing him back.
Who, Deuce?
Yeah.
To OC or to head coach?
Yeah. I can see them offering to, listen, who are they going to go? Stop and think about something.
Well, if you were so high on him as the Eagles.
Sometimes you got to leave. Sometimes you got to let him leave the nest.
Like, if you're so high on him, why wouldn't you even consider him for the OC job if you thought he could be the HC?
I don't know. It's just timing.
I honestly think Vic Fangio would be the interim head coach.
Oh, yeah, he would be the interim if it happened during in-season. But I'm saying at the end of the season, I could – because they could look at Deuce and just be like, hey, look, listen, boom. Dave said, hey, Mike, how did you guys survive the cold weather at the bank yesterday? Bumbled up, Dave, and
warm libations. And,
and very warm libations and a lot of them.
And speaking of those warm libations, you were at the tailgate with Philly Sports Trips.
Yes, great time yesterday.
Yeah, even the local stuff is amazing at Philly Sports Trips, and you can always have a good time. Hell, if you want to stay local and go to a local Phillies game, you have that option. If you want to go all the way to Brazil for a week, you have that option as well. Go to phillysportstrips.com. Baltimore game is a great bus trip to check out June 15th. Pittsburgh, July. Boston in June as well.
Wait a minute. Go back there because you have Boston and
Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Look at that. It says June 15th, right?
Yeah.
Now go down to Boston. Yeah. June 15th.
Well, they're two different trips. One's in Boston, one's in they run trips at the same time.
Yeah, but okay. Oh, it's the only reason why I was saying
they won't. But the game isn't on the 15th, but the trip runs.
That's where it screwed me up. I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. He's like, wait a minute. They also have one to Chicago. They do one every year. It's a great trip, by the way. The Chicago.
I hate that because it's always midweek.
It's always around the 4th of July.
Yeah, and it's midweek. Like, MLB, can you schedule the Phillies to go play in Wrigley on a weekend? God forbid, would it kill you?
Just go to Philly Sports Trips, take a couple of days off. It'll be fine. Let's see some of these comments here. Mike, don't be surprised if Fangio head coach if Sirianni flatlines.
Yeah, well, that's why he's there. He's the insurance policy, and so yeah, I agree with that. There.
I mean, I could even see Kellen Moore, but he's never done it, so I would say Fangio's.
The mayor of Las Vegas checking in. What's up, Rob? I was one of the guys that said fire Howie. Now I'm on the Howie train. Fly Eagles fly.
Listen, I was pounding my chest about firing Howie at one point, and you know what? I'm gonna go on this hill. I'm on that. I have a hill across the way from Matty B's hill. That I will die on this hill. That I was right at the time. He was doing bad. His contracts were inflated. His eye for talent was bad. He was being trying to be the smartest man in the room too much. But he's fixed a lot of his mistakes. So that's why.
Yeah, he stopped going that.
That's why it's okay to say that at one point you were not happy with him, and now if a guy gets better, like Brandon Graham, people, Jason Kelce, there's times people wanted them out of this town because of how bad they were playing, and they were not being good, and rightfully so at the time. But sometimes you get lucky and you stick with somebody, they get better. Sometimes you move on and you find out they get better somewhere else. So. I don't think anybody was exactly wrong about not being happy with Howie, especially for a stretch there. You know, he won the Super Bowl, and he did a lot of like short-term contracts, brought in a lot of depth pieces that way, but then kind of got a little cocky after that for a couple of years, and his drafting was subpar at best.
Right.
You know, I mean, like that's something. You know,
I wonder if just on that note, Happy Easter, Dave. Go enjoy it. Good luck to your daughter's softball team.
Yep. Have a good one, Dave.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's that time of year, allergies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Excuse me again.
You want to jump into the Flyers talk?
Yes, let's jump in because they got a big game tonight.
Yeah?
They do. They got to get off the schneid here.
And you're on the call tonight.
Yes, me and Pat, believe it or not.
So you thought you got a weekend off without having to work with that knucklehead. You got to come back around. He's a busy man today. He's actually right now at
the Wells
Fargo covering the Wings game. They have a 1:00 start, so if you guys want to check that out,
Pat's down there eating them out of a house and home in the press box.
It was funny that I think they posted like a picture of like hoagie trays and all this. I don't know if like Primo's was or somebody was,
oh God! No wonder why he didn't come here today.
I was like, that all comes around full circle.
Yeah.
But big Flyers game tonight. You guys will be on the call. Matty B and I did the last game, which was our huge letdown against the Canadiens.
Yeah, man. I kind of caught the game late, and I thought I was like I had fallen asleep. I'm not gonna lie. I got in from work.
If you watched the first two periods of that game, you should have fallen asleep.
Well, that's the thing. I woke up and I literally did a double take look, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're losing 4-1 to the Canadiens. But again, though, they look like they had no legs.
No, and I don't want to say we did or did not. There was we always worry about like when you go. We talked about that gauntlet. You went through 7 games against top 10 teams. Now you got 6 games against bottom 12 teams. You held your own against the top 10 teams. Was it a little bit of a letdown in the works? Like I would hope not, knowing that at this point, at that point, I think it was only 8 games, or it is 8 games now, or whatever. That they wouldn't do that, but it kind of did come off that way. They were always playing from behind, especially for the first almost full 2 periods of that game.
Yeah, and like right now too, like they got Washington is like breathing down their neck. They're only a point behind.
Well, that was Washington Capitals were one of the stars of my game the other night. I said for the Capitals losing, they're going to get a star of the game because trying to find another star of the Flyers last night that night was not easy.
And it's real funny too because I'm looking at the standings for the playoffs right now, and like Detroit, the Islanders are like creeping up on Detroit right now. Yeah. So I mean, like it's not. And they got to play each other. And I believe, if I remember right, I think they got a pretty tough game than like the Capitals.
Capitals have a bit of a gauntlet they're going up against now.
Matter of fact, no, they're off tonight.
No, but they have their next stretch of games are going to kind of look like our last stretch of games.
Yeah, I remember.
But this is where you have to make sure this team is ready. Like they can't look past any team. Every team's in a fight. They either want to fight you to knock you down, or they want to fight to see if they can work their way and squeak into the playoffs somehow. I mean, if anybody remembers the 2010 Flyers, they did not get into the playoffs until they won, and some things fell their way at the last game of the season against the Rangers.
Yeah, so far it looks like their only game they have that I'm seeing so far is Tuesday. And then they play the Hurricanes on Saturday or Friday next week. And then I'm just looking at Washington because they're right there with us.
While you're checking out real quick, I'll remind you guys, if you want to head to some of these Flyers games, go to Sherry'sTickets.com. That's right. Sherry'sTickets.com, family owned and operated since 1946. Sports, concerts, theaters, you name it. Not just for the Philadelphia area, guys. Check it out. Sherry'sTickets.com. No hidden fees, not like the other guys where you go to check out and boom, you get hit with these giant fees. The price you see on the screen will be the price you pay. Except if you want to save 10%, you can use that great promo code.
EOP10.
That's right. EOP10 will save you 10% off at Sherry'sTickets.com. Again, save 10% off with that great promo code.
EOP10.
EOP10 will save you 10% off at Sherry'sTickets.com.
Yeah, I'm like looking at their schedule, Al. Like their schedule is really kind of crazy. Let me see. Yeah, like I'm looking at.
I know the last game of the season is against us.
Right. They play Boston today. They got Boston today. And I'm looking here. It's Boston today at Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. So they got 2 wins there. Then you got Carolina, Ottawa, which they're at Carolina. Then it's Ottawa, at Detroit, at Buffalo. And then their last 3 is murderous because they have Tampa, Boston, and then the Flyers.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling it's going to come down to that.
They have 2 more games to play, so that gives them the opportunity.
1 more. They're only 1 more.
Oh, they're down to 1.
Yep, they're down to 1. So I think them losing the other night kind of helped the Flyers out.
Big time.
So, I mean, that's why I'm looking. Like I said, I'm looking. Flyers played 74, and they played 70.
That's just not nice. That's not nice at all.
You can have them. You're welcome. That's Joe Douglas. We did him a solid.
Yeah, right.
We heard he was about to get fired up there. Oh no, you're right, Al. It is 2. They got 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So the Flyers actually got to take care of their business.
Even though they're probably hard teams, it's still a chance to get a point or two that we're not going to have a chance to. So they got to take care of business, and they got to not look past. Every team should be, in their eyes, an even playing field. And
are you excited about Kozlov joining the team finally?
Well, it's not Kozlov. Fedotov or Fedotov, or how do you say his name?
Fetisov?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, the kid from Russia, right?
Well, there's 2, but they both came over, but the one they just signed was that 6'7".
Yeah. I thought that was Kozlov or Fetisov, right?
Fedotov or however you say it.
Whatever.
I have to get used to him.
He was the one I was talking about.
Ivan.
Yes.
Terrible.
Yeah, he's the one that takes out most of the net. They said he's like a Dominic Hasek type goaltender.
Dude, he was standing next to, you see the pictures of him next to Danny
Briere? Oh my God. It was like
Danny Briere could have been on skates and him not, and still been a foot taller than him. It's hilarious. But yeah, he's a big boy. Let's be honest. Felix Sandstrom isn't getting the job done. And thank you, Felix, for all the work you do, but you need more time to go down and work on your game. And Erson, I think some of his bad stuff it might be fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, throw the kid in there, throw him in there, see what he has. I mean,
Anthony with the insider information there. The Flyers need to score more.
Oh yeah, speaking of that too, Matty B, this guy yesterday during the Fightins final. I mean, were you guys expecting me to write a whole report about how it was down there? Like, Mike, it was windy, Matt. It was windy, okay? It was whipping around. It was cold.
How it came off, it was like windy.
Like, he asked me how it was down there. And he goes, no. That's in-depth report. I'm sorry. I didn't know I had to write a freaking essay.
Why don't you Glenn Hurricane Schwartz the situation?
Yeah, next time I'll bring my map. How about this? Next time I go to a game and you're doing it, I'll call you from the game.
There you go.
I was going to jump on with you guys.
The barometric pressure was at, But, no, it's... I like this signing. They had to. They had really no choice because they brought him in. His contract was already going. He's going to be a free agent at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So they kind of had to do it. I think they could probably stash Kolsov or
the other one
in the AHL until they're ready
for the ECHL, which is Reading. Which, by the way, if you've never been to either one of those, either up in Allentown or over there, whew. Muffler Mike checking in. What's going on, buddy?
Yes, the Wings unofficial spokesperson, Muffler Mike. Good morning, gents. Speaking of taking care of business, it's a must-win for the Wings today at 1 p.m. against the Buffalo Bandits at Wells Fargo. Playoff hopes on the line. Oh,
they're playing Buffalo today?
Yeah.
You want to talk about a rivalry? Back in the day, watching Wings lacrosse, because if you remember, it used to be on ESPN and ESPN too. You would watch that, man. Philadelphia, Buffalo. Boy, you want to talk about a war? No love lost there, man. And that's who they're playing today?
Yeah, but they've been getting shellacked lately. I mean, I don't know. I don't follow. I can't.
Pat.
I think Patrick is not going. He's a bad luck charm.
Ever since he started covering them, dude, they went downhill.
How about Reese Hoskins doing the crybaby?
Yo, did you see that? That dude is the biggest witch in the world. McLean.
Oh, yeah.
He is. I mean, dude.
McNeil, you mean?
Huh? McNeil. Yeah, Jeff McNeil. He's such a typical Met.
Yeah. Listen, everybody's always going to love Reese Hoskins, and I love how when he's gone, that people have. I'm not saying they should have good memories of him, but I do remember before last season, people wanted him gone, and because he couldn't play the season out and he was injured, how much we missed Reese Hoskins, and now we miss. And I love Reese, and I really wish they could have kept him on, but there was just no space. There was no spot for him.
There will be in 2 years.
Yeah, we'll see.
Listen, I think he's only going to be there until they get rid of Schwarber. I guarantee you, when he hits the open market again, they're going to bring him back. They're going to bring him back.
He did rile up the Mets, which is always.
Oh, it was great. I mean, listen, I go to Reading Royals all the time. It's great because of lots. Oh yeah, dude, you can sit lower level for like under $20.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a pretty good product.
I like going to minor league stuff.
So do I.
Go to an Iron Pigs game or something like that.
I've never been up there.
Yeah, it's a good.
I want to go there. I been to Reading, but it's been.
I even gone to the Blue Rocks, so they're not even Phillies organization. You can rent. Somebody told me this. I don't know how true it is, but I would love to check this out. I was told, and if anybody's not familiar with the area, the Wilmington Blue Rock Stadium is literally right off 95.
Right.
And when you hit Wilmington, when you get into Delaware, and I've heard somebody say you can rent the Wilmington Blue Rock Stadium for like $2,500, like for the night, like or when they're on off night or something. Like, could you imagine? Like, not that bad. You can throw a concert there very easily. It's pretty big. But I've gone to Blue Rocks games, brought my whole 40 people, bought like front row hot dogs and everything. I spent like $200. Like it was like cheap. Like you can do.
Never been there.
Yeah, it's a good time. It really is.
Never
so much,
been
guys.
there. At least
for the love of the game. I always say for the love of the game. Oh, Rob. Sorry, Rob saying at least we weren't gloom and doom like Pat Bernard. Yesterday he was probably sucking his thumb in the fetal position.
That's probably him tonight.
Yeah,
but
well, maybe hopefully it's his thumb this time.
Yeah.
Ken Schumann, what's up, Ken? I just was at a Reading Royals a few nights ago. A lot of fun, but the team isn't very good.
No, that's my boy Kenny. Speaking of the Mets, man, if you guys are Mets fans, definitely check out Kenny. He does a show on Out of the Box called The Bat Cave. He is a Mets fan, but it's actually
he's
fresh
one of the few Mets fans I don't want to bury 6 feet under.
Right. He's actually tells it like it is, man. So definitely give Kenny a follow.
And saying, hey, Mike, hey, McNeil was pissed because Hoskins trying to take him out when Hoskins slid. It was late, and Hoskins was trying to take out McNeil.
Yeah.
That's the game, though, man. I know they tried changing it, but Chase Utley, we loved him for it.
Yeah. Oh, man, he broke that dude's leg up there.
Chase Utley was the reason they put it in there.
Yeah.
Everybody forgets that rule was put in there because of Chase
Utley.
Thank
God he did that as a Dodger, though, and not as a Philly. Oh,
yeah.
Like, that's the only thing, because, there's always been venom between, us and our fans and Mets fans, so.
Nah. Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't wait till the first Phillies Mets.
Oh, I want to go.
And the final, and the fighting's final to follow.
Oh, I can't wait.
They start the cockroaches. They come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, that's what I say to them. I'm like 86 and forever, dude. They shut up. But speaking of the fightings, that game yesterday. If I'm Zach Wheeler, I'm going to Matt Strom. I'm going to Jose Alvarado. I'm going to Connor Brogdon. And I'm saying, you got your mulligan. Don't do it again.
I think that's kind of like implied. I think.
Well, no, because you're
probably not supposed to do. It doesn't help in the locker room to do that. But I don't think you go and say I'm sorry, and I also don't think you go and break their stones. I think you have to. This is where you have to have a short-term memory, and you got to let the bats come alive today and make up for it.
And I think the Phillies get back on the winning track today. I mean, they got Nola going today.
They do have going up against two really good left-handers. Excuse me. And they have to strike by the iron's hot, and you can't let one frame go 7. Go 2
listen,
7 runs.
I was there yesterday, man, and like I said, I ain't gonna lie. I top of the 7th is when I checked out. I started. I hightailed it out of there, top of the 7th. After being down there all day doing libations, and it was getting a little chilled, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna beat the traffic out of here. I left out, and then I got home. It was 6-2.
Yeah.
I turned around. I was like, literally within, I'm 15 minutes from the stadium, if that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And then right away, Strom. And, I think he's got to start going. To be honest with you, I think they need another right-hander in that bullpen to go along with Hoffman. Like, I would like to see Pilati back, to be honest with you, because I don't like Connor Brogdon at all. That dude's like 1 minute he's good, the next minute he's all over the place. So,
does that guy have a show on Facebook?
You mean Ken? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's right. Isn't he a Mets fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
that. Yeah, go to Out of the Box. Kenny, that's where he
I was wondering who was talking about that. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's kind of go through this for a second. Here's the complaints you've been seeing on social media and on the radio. Number one, I even heard the King Howard Eskin saying on the way in, going about complaining about pulling Wheeler out when they did, and guys can't go anymore. That was such an old man take. I mean, it was old man yells at cloud moment right there.
Listen, anybody who was expecting him to go, 9 innings and just in a day like yesterday, I mean, it was a cold, windy day. You want this guy to throw 9 innings? Like, listen, I know they lost yesterday. I know it was to the Braves, but it's one of 162. Like, take a step back from the ledge, people. It's not all doom and gloom. You know what I mean? I was watching you guys yesterday, Al, when you guys were talking about, I believe it was Sal that brought it up on the post game, that, the Phil's swing seemed a little off, but they weren't off by much. Like, I mean, he wasn't lying yesterday. And that wind down there was ripping. Like,
listen, I'm not trying to make excuses, but you take into the fact that they came from Florida. Now they're up in 40-some degree weather with cold wind and all that. Listen, but the Braves had to do the same thing. They came from Arizona and they had to deal with the same thing. So I'm not making a mistake. I'm not making excuses. But this team just did not seem ready yesterday. That was the problem where I was. Like
they weren't hitting. They didn't hit. If it wasn't for Bone,
the bullpen didn't. The only guy who looked like he was ready,
was Hoffman.
And here's the thing: is I'm gonna point this out because everybody was yelling about the bullpen, yelling about Thompson about pulling Wheeler early, but 13 or I'm sorry, was it 13, 15, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes. Strikeouts. That'll do it. And it was Bryce Harper who had 3 of the strikeouts. He was 0 for 3. He had 0 for 3 to walk on all 3 strikeouts.
Listen, he didn't look right.
Realmuto, yeah, his back is. I mean, even Sal keeps bringing up because he's worried about his back, and maybe we should be. Realmuto,
yeah,
it wasn't until the 9th inning when it was pointless at that point, but he got walked and scored, but he had 2 strikeouts. Castellanos had 3 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh, even though he hit that 5, he had that 2-run home run.
Yeah, 3
strikeouts. Actually, Schwarber, for the ones who roast him, he only had 1 strikeout for his.
Yeah, but his strikeout was with guys on base.
True.
So I mean, it was just. It seemed like the Phillies, and the thing was, like, listen, I was there. Strider that crowd got to Strider yesterday. He was rattled, man. Elaine says you never go 9 innings in day one, exactly. And
even back in the day when we would, and when I say back in the day, I'm talking about 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, a little over a decade ago. We did see a lot of guys go, and it was a treat to watch Cliff Lee or Roy Halladay go the full
distance.
But how often was that the first day of the game, first game of the season?
You rarely saw that. You rarely saw that at all. Like, I didn't.
Sorry, I need to see it before I click it.
That's all right.
Yeah,
it ain't coming out of our mouth.
Rob, I got you. Eileen says if you leave Wheeler pitch further in the game, some people would complain. You could have gotten him hurt. Yeah, you can't win. I mean, that's kind of my point here.
Yeah.
You can't win. You just can't win if you leave him in there. Like I even go back to the people roasting Rob Thompson in 2022 about pulling Wheeler in that last game. Now it was the last game that they had a chance to keep playing forward and possibly try to win that. Do I leave Wheeler in? Probably, because he was still dealing. I mean, because you're not going to be able to probably use Wheeler again for the rest of the year. That was probably his last game he was pitching, no matter what. But if you left Wheeler in there and he got shellacked, you would have got roasted for leaving Wheeler in. So like
it was a no-win situation. I just feel like there's people out there who just want to, they want to bitch about Robbie Thompson just to bitch about him. You know what I mean? But because it's like a personal agenda, they don't want him here. So again,
listen, there is reasons to question him.
Yeah, there's
reasons to question almost any manager in the world. But my point is, I don't disagree with in baseball. Everybody said our top 4 guys should produce more. I agree with that. In baseball, you should get a pitcher who goes 6 innings and then only need 3 pitchers to go 7, 8, 9. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong. It's not like he went 4.5, 5, and he could have definitely went.
No, he went 6 innings.
He went 6 full innings, and it would have been nice to see him. But what does that tell us? That, oh, if we leave him in the whole time, we would have won this game. But what about down the line? All that did would hide the warts that are currently like me. I'm not sitting here saying our bullpen is terrible yet. Yesterday they were terrible.
Yeah.
Are they going to be terrible moving forward? Was this just opening day jitters, or I don't know, say opening day jitters, but just like, this team wasn't prepared? Is that on Caleb Kaufman? Is that on Rob Thompson? There's a lot of ways to look at this, but I also know it's 161 more games before I start, questioning Rob Thompson's leaving in Wheeler or and like the other thing is like I agree he probably should have pulled Alvarado when he couldn't find the strike zone. Me and Matty B actually agreed upon that the other day. I know.
Yeah, I mean,
the floor was as cold as it was, up top. So.
Listen, that's why it was so cold. Used to were agreeing, and you got to stop that.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. He should have pulled Alvarado. I mean, if you see he ain't got it, get him out.
Yeah,
but
then it didn't matter because Brogdon came in and looked
worse.
Even worse. I mean, he walked the first guy. He walked in a run. It was just not a. And then Olsen clears the bases with a double. So.
And Darno too. Like Darno kills the Phillies too. Like the two guys on that team that kill the Phillies are Riley, Darno. They kill the Phillies.
You get rid of Freeman. You get Olsen stepping up, and he's just like Freddie Freeman again. Like
it is. I mean, listen, you got to tip your cap, dude. Braves got a good team.
I mean, it doesn't play out the same exact way. But I always, I have to be the voice of reason to Phillies fans. That I remember doing games last year and the year before in April into May, and especially May's. Mays are like our worst month, historically, not just like over the last couple of years, but historically. That's.
I listen. I mean, I'm not. Even if they get swept in this series, like I'm not going to overreact. You know what I mean?
161 more games of shitty bullpen and laziness from the Phillies.
Well, I don't know about being a shitty bullpen. I mean,
lazy too. Like I listen. I get it. I know you're not a Phillies fan. I get that, but it's not laziness, and it could be. I don't know. Yeah, there is some question marks in there. How the MLB ranked us the top.
Yeah. Listen, the Braves were right behind us.
Even Phillies fans question that, but. I mean, if Kerkering can get healthy again and he comes out and we can see what we get from him, I want to know where's Sir Anthony at. Can he? Yeah,
what happened to him yesterday? Like, why couldn't he throw?
Soto? Where was? Why did he choose to go? Why did he choose to go to Strahm? Because I questioned the Strahm choice in the beginning.
Dude, Strahm's like his first guy out of the pen.
Well, Strahm's supposed to be our long guy. So right. What about Nola's struggles tomorrow?
Right, you're going to go to Strahm again, who just got crazy,
Like, that's my thing is, why couldn't Soto, who's got a big contract with us, where's Sir Anthony at? Why couldn't Alvarado come in that point, unless you wanted to save him for 7 or for 8 and 9? Okay, that's fine. Why couldn't Brogdon come in then? There was a lot of options there for them. That he just
Topper pushed the wrong buttons yesterday.
Not just push the wrong buttons. He just put the wrong chess pieces on the board.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't know coming up who's available, who wasn't available. But I mean, I would think opening day everybody's available.
Yeah, unless they're on the IL, I would imagine you're available.
So I mean, you're right. Why didn't he go? If you're going to go with a lefty coming out, I would rather go with Soto than Strahm. You know what I mean? Soto throws harder.
And listen, I leave you say a lot of people react after day one. Even spring training, it could take a few days to click once. I mean, just playing back at Citizens Bank Park might take a minute for you to feel. But I mean, it's just people do overreact. I mean, they can win today and tomorrow, and then this is a
this is a new conversation. But listen, I don't know, man. I just look at it like this: if we can't get too crazy, we can't get too crazy over a win on opening day, and you can't get too crazy over a loss either. I think Matty B said it the best yesterday. The ledge is there, but we don't have to be on it right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
let Pat hang out on it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not really, like I said, even if they start out 0-3, I mean, there's been Septembers where the Phillies have Aprils that haven't been really good for the Phillies. And they've come back and made it a decent season. Now, this is the last 2 seasons that's happened. you don't want to make it into a third because sooner or later that becomes a habit, and then you're not going to be able to come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you don't want to dig yourself in too deep, but there's no excuses, man. Now, they're a pretty relatively healthy ball club. You know, last year we had an excuse. Our best player was out for the first for the first 2.5 months.
Well, let's. Sal had said it on the pregame show, and he said it when we did our preview show as well. You know, he's worried about his back, and I was kind of like trying to play it off, but I mean,
if he's worried about his back, then put him on the DL.
I'm not saying like if there is an issue, I agree with you, but he's just worried about can he swing like he normally can, or does he going to have to adjust that because of
his back? Violent. But I'm just saying, like if I'm the Phillies, you want that back to heal, put him on a 15-day DL. Give him 2 weeks off. Bring Derek Hall up here for 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Now, Ant, you said some crazy things on this thing, but that
come on,
I wouldn't let Pat. I wouldn't let Pat coach my video
T-ball team.
I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't let him play MLB The Show. That's how bad he is.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got that. Real quick, just so you guys know, today I am actually back on the Fighting's Final today. I will be your post game host, watching Aaron Nola go against Max Fried, and we will see hopefully a bounce back. The 4:05 start today. It's going to be about 60 degrees today. So I don't know. The wind's still whipping around today. We'll see how that plays a factor again.
And Fried, he's kind of up and down against the Phillies. You don't know which one you're going to get from him.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that one time I remember listening to they were talking about with Spencer Strider. He's like 8-0 in the regular season against the Phillies with like a sub-2 ERA, and like in the postseason it's completely different. I'm like, you finally kind of broke the stride a little bit. I mean, he gave him he's a 3+ ERA right now.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what, like both of those starting pitchers yesterday were as advertised. Strider is as advertised as can be. And I'll tell you what, like the dude had 8 strikeouts yesterday. But I'll tell you,
like when he had that 2-run home run and they pulled Fried, you didn't feel a little more excited that the Phillies could do something about it.
Oh yeah, like listen, when the Phillies went up 2-0 on the after Marsh hit the home run, like that place, he was shaking. Strider was shaking, and you could see it. My brother always brings up a point of he remembers watching the game when the Phillies fans got on a guy in the playoffs, Bert Hooton, who pitched for the I think it was the Dodgers, and the Phillies, like this dude was like a 20-game winner or something like that, and all of a sudden, boom. Okay, guys, have a good day. Watch a good team like the Mets. Oh, well, I have things to do. If you're watching the Mets, dude, you have your Pepto-Bismol next to you?
Yeah. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. And thank you for tuning in, though, buddy.
He's a good dude. We call him Angry Ant, but he's a great guy.
He's lovable, like my partner that's not here.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right, now.
Carried away.
Well, can we just bring up one thing?
Sure.
Sixers lost last night.
Oh, you want to bring that up?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not. That's pretty much my Sixers coverage for this.
Georges Niang.
Yeah.
Played really well against his former team. Was able to, again, they played a good team. Came down to the wire. I don't know.
Close. No cigar.
I mean, do you take any moral victories out of these close losses to good teams?
No.
You know
what's going to be funny when they miss the playoffs?
They won't miss the playoffs for one reason.
Yeah, because the teams behind them are that bad.
Yeah, I mean, they still have, for all the games that they've lost, they still have a lot of space behind them in the 9-10 spot.
Yeah, I mean...
listen, it's not a surprise that I want the Sixers to shut it down.
Yeah, I do too. What sense is there to do anything?
I think putting him in and all I hear is always going to come back is just
people think
pure asinine.
Yeah, they think he's going to come back in shape. Like no,
not going to come back in shape. Let's say he comes back at even 75%, 85% of what he was before he left.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good Embiid.
It is, but it's not going to get it done.
But the risk ain't worth the reward.
No. They're not getting past Boston.
And they're probably going to play Boston.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the way they're seated right now, they're going to get stuck playing Boston. Yay.
Yeah, no, it's
5. Series on in 5. So, I mean, they should just if it wasn't for the teams behind them being so bad, I wish that they would, just shut it down.
Yeah. No, yeah. Listen, not saying these guys shouldn't try, but it's just putting him out there with the possibility of hurting him again. It's silly. It's silly.
No, it is.
Let's see what Rob's saying here. Sixers are tough to watch right now. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Try watching them and having to do a post game show or pay attention to it and want to, they're not a good team and it's not a good product right now, and it's a shame. You got Kyle Lowry way too late in the Sixers uniform. He's probably retiring, so his swan song is going to be this.
Yeah, he wanted to play for his hometown team.
I think Buddy Hield's back next year. You're going to see probably Maxey get a max contract this year on the offseason.
Hopefully they trade Joel and get some assets.
And they're not going to do that.
They need to.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
What is the sense of keeping this dude around?
Because you know what? The risk versus reward is a lot better keeping him around than not keeping him
Explain to me how. The dude gets hurt every year. He gets hurt every year, Al.
And listen, the 1 year he doesn't. The 1 year he goes and they say they trade him away. They go to the Knicks. And the Knicks go win everything because Embiid's on there and he's healthy.
The Knicks got a better supporting cast.
Well, then this is the chance that the Sixers have right now, this year. Take all your assets and go put the best supporting cast around him. Right now is your opportunity.
I just don't think. I don't.
You got Tobias gone. He's gone. His big numbers off the books. You're not. James Harden's already gone, so you don't have to worry about his big numbers or doing anything crazy like that. You're going to sign Maxey. Joel, you already know what you're paying him. You're going to sign Buddy Hield, and now you can go out and you have plenty of money and time, plenty of space, and you have a big free agency pool to work with. I think this is the time you don't want to trade him. You don't want to trade him for that reason. You have the opportunity to build a solid team around him. Take it.
All right. Well, guys, listen. I think that's going to just about wrap it up for A&M in the AM today because we kicked the P out.
I know. Yeah. Well, we had. Hopefully, it wasn't as boring because you're used to us yelling at him all day.
Yes. Yes. So I mean, it's kind of. I mean, but you can tune in later on tonight for Clear the Ice because it'll be myself and Pat.
You see plenty of yelling in that
so
one.
You'll definitely see plenty of yelling because I have to deal
with the day at the Titans final.
So, guys, for Al Safiri, I am Mike Lauro. We will see you next week. And Al, I believe we're live on location next week.
That is right. Oh, you know what? Since you did bring that up, let's talk about that for 1 second here. Sorry. And I don't have it ready because I'm a failure. Let me just bring this up because it is important to talk about here. So we are going to be live for our new Fightins Final. Sponsor is the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar at 5400 Fern Boulevard, Drexel Hill, PA 19026. The Holiday Inn and Suites at the Drexel Brook Event Center in Drexel Hill. We will be there for the first pre and post Fightins Final, but as an additional attraction, you're going to get at an hour later, but at 10 a.m. start, 4 p.m. in the a.m. live from the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard, and then come back a little later, and here you are. So you can come hang out and have breakfast, lunch, hang out all day, listen to watch the Phillies with us, and listen to us break it all down. April 7th at the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill. And as you can see on here, we will also be giving away during that pre and post game free Phillies tickets, courtesy of Edge of Philly Sports. We actually don't tell them, but we took Joe Sheeran's personal tickets, so they're good tickets, not the cheap seats. He don't do cheap seats, and it's only against a good team. So these are high end tickets. You got to be there. You got to be there to win it all. So come on out, and you'll see a 10 a.m. start for PM and AM, as well as a special pre and post game for the Fightins Final. So it will be a heck of an EOP day.
Yes.
In Drexel.
Well, I can't wait to get up there. So it should be pretty good. Again, guys, enjoy your Saturday. Have a happy Easter from all of us at Edge of Philly Sports. You can catch Al later following the Phillies games for the Fightins Final. You can catch me and Pat for Clear the Ice right after the Flyers game tonight. So with that being said, enjoy your Saturday, guys, and we will see you next week.